double beard. Hope everyone is well, and I hope everyone's having a great week. Alright then. They can moan and complain about Hamas as much as they want. In my view, they was a terrorist organization. However, they were also democratically elected in what the democratic judges that was at the election in 2005, or was it 2006, where they said that this is one of the most honest and clear votes that had ever taken place. And what was the response of the world? The democratic world, after this organization become democratically elected, was to refuse to acknowledge them. The first one being to refuse to acknowledge them, Netanyahu. Even though Netanyahu was the one who was funding Hamas. He was the one who was funding Hamas. Why? Because it was creating that divide to prevent a Palestinian state between Fatah. He wanted to divide the people from rallying behind one single organization, and to divide them and to make them, clash with each other. As it says here in the Times of Israel, where it says, for years the various governments led by Benjamin Netanyahu took an approach that divided the power between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, bringing the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to his knees whilst making moves that propped up the Hamas terror group. The idea was to prevent Abbas or anyone else in the Palestinian Authority's West Bank government from advancing towards the establishment of the Palestinian state. Thus, amid this bid to impair Abbas, Hamas was upgraded from a mere terror group to an organization with which Israel held indirect negotiations via Egypt, and one that was allowed to receive infusions of cash from abroad. But now, they're ISIS. Now they're Al-Qaeda. Now they cannot be negotiated with. And all the other world governments, all the other Western democratic governments are refusing to acknowledge them, or to debate with them, or to sit down at the table with them. Even Hamas is stated from the moment they come into power up until recently, they want to sit down at the table. But it was okay for John Major and the Conservatives back in the 90s to do that with the IRA. After the campaign of the IRA, who was at war with Britain and the British establishment. When I grew up, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, before the ceasefire, before they decided to sit down at the table with the IRA, we grew up every single week there was bombs going off. Every single week. Where I live in North London, we had bombs in Wood Green Shopping City, which is just up the road from here. We had bombs in Hornsey. We had bombs on a regular basis in central London, all the time. All my fellow 80s babies from England will remember that. Countless, scores and scores of people were killed on both sides. On the loyalist side and the Republican side. And they had extreme groups, terrorist groups on the loyalist side and the Republican side. And the government sat down with both of them and negotiated a peace talk. But we can't do that with Hamas. The whole point of Hamas, as they have said themselves, taking these hostages was to give them some leverage. It's already been proven they didn't unalive 40 babies. Yes, there were crimes. I've witnessed some of these crimes myself that they were committing, some of the atrocities during their attacks on October 7th. I've seen myself the driving around in trucks with the body of a young female on the back, driving through town, and everyone angry and spitting on the body and defiling the body basically of this young female. Absolutely disgusting. But it doesn't justify the annihilation of an entire population. Not in any way, shape or form. So let's not play coy that, you refuse to work with politicians such as George Galloway or Jeremy Corbyn, because they acknowledge Hamas as a democratically elected group. All of a sudden now they're you know, friends with the enemy. The current climate here is not great. And what is happening in the Middle East right now is inciting all forms of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. I'm not denying it, it's not happening, it's happening. But what our politicians are doing openly, revitalizing racists and open Muslim haters who hate anything Islamic, and giving them the gall and the courage to come out and start, you know, once again on the attack. It's the Muslims, it's the Muslims are out again, the Muslims are taking over. Like, come on, man. It gives energy and fuel to the likes of Nigel Farage, that absolute waste of space, who was the champion and the leader who led the whole entire Brexit argument. And as soon as the whole Brexit thing started to heat up, oh, he bottled it. Oh, I can't handle it anymore. Abandoned his Brexit leadership, abandoned his UKIP leadership. I don't even know why people still hold him as relevant when he pops up with his stupid looking face, keeps on talking rubbish, stoking fears all over again, when he's been an open hater of anything. He's been an open Islamophobic from time ago. You see, like his response to the British Army advert, where it showed the British Army soldier, who happened to be Muslim, performing his prayers. While this soldier is performing his prayers, he's surrounded by his fellow soldiers who are, you know, keeping an all-round defense while he's taking care of his prayers, like it's a major thing, like it's going to take 2-3 hours, like it's going to cause some kind of problems in the operation that whatever the soldiers are performing. Even soldiers on patrol in war zones have the opportunity to take breaks and rests and stuff like that, and it's in those breaks and rests he's not allowed to take 5 minutes out to do his prayers. Like, what's wrong with you? Is it that people, Muslims up and down the country, fully integrated into life in this country, vast majority of them are British themselves, perform their prayers, no problems whatsoever, none at all. Go and ask any of the bosses who are the bosses and managers over these Muslims that are working, whether it's an issue that they go and pray and how long it takes. Just stoking fears unnecessarily.
I saw a recent army advertisement. Here it is.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
I couldn't believe it. Far from being the best, this is belonging. And in the middle of a war zone, a soldier stops and prays to Allah.
I still can't believe people take that fool seriously. As you know, the United States 3 times now have vetoed the United Nations from calling a ceasefire upon the Israelis, to tell them to stop bombing Gaza and to allow aid to flow in and to go back to the negotiation table.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2023/773 please raise their hand? Will those against? Abstentions? The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
Colleagues, the United States is disappointed this resolution made no mention of Israel's rights of self-defense. Every member state should condemn Hamas's terrorism and cruelty, and every member state should call on Hamas to cease its endless barrage of rockets against Israel. We are on the ground doing the hard work of diplomacy. And while we recognize Brazil's desire to move this text forward, we believe we need to let that diplomacy play out, especially when Secretary General Guterres, President Biden, Secretary Blinken, and regional actors are engaged in intensive dialogue on the very issues we are deliberating on today.
A key diplomatic decision thousands of kilometers from the battlefield relating to the war in Gaza. An Arab-led draft resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire has failed at the UN Security Council, the organization's highest body for the maintenance of international peace and security.
The result of the voting is as follows: 13 votes in favor, 1 vote against, 1 abstention. The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
That negative vote that proved so crucial was from the U.S. ambassador. She said she has her own draft resolution for a ceasefire and that she'll bring that before the Security Council in the coming days.
This resolution is a stance for truth and humanity, standing against the advocates for murder and hatred. A vote in favor of this draft resolution is a support to the Palestinians' right to life.
3 times they got vetoed. Scores of other nations from around the world have put in their votes for a ceasefire, and 1 single vote from America, just because they happen to be on the permanent member of the Security Council, they have the power to veto. And the one abstaining was probably the UK. They have the power to veto that motion from going any further. That I don't get. That's why I'm not a politician, because I don't understand how that works. When every other country is saying this needs to stop, but America can go, no, we're not going to stop. Like, nah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Madam President, China expresses its strong disappointment. Algeria, on behalf of the Arab states, put forward the draft resolution demanding a immediate ceasefire in Gaza, immediate release of all hostages, guaranteed access for humanitarian supplies, and opposition to forced transfers. This is both urgently required by the situation on the ground, and it is also based on the minimum requirements of humanity, and it should deserve the support by all Council members. The outcome of today's vote clearly shows that on the issue of a ceasefire to halt the fighting in Gaza, it is not that the Security Council does not have an overwhelming consensus, but rather it is the exercise of the veto by the United States that has stifled the Council consensus. The U.S. veto sent a wrong message, pushing the situation in Gaza into a more dangerous one. While the Security Council ceasefire resolution is being vetoed, innocent civilians in Gaza are dying in the fighting, and they are struggling on the brink of death. The U.S. claimed that the Council resolution would interfere with the ongoing diplomatic efforts. Such a claim is totally untenable. Given the situation on the ground, the continued passive avoidance on an immediate ceasefire is nothing different from giving a green light to the continued slaughter. While the Security Council ceasefire resolution is being vetoed, the spillover of the conflict is destabilizing the entire Middle East region, leading to a rising risk of a wider war. Only by extinguishing the flames of war in Gaza can we prevent the fires of hell from engulfing the entire region. The Council must act quickly to stop this carnage in the Middle East.
With the approach of Ramadan, now, conveniently, America starts talking about ceasefire.
The immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks, which is what is currently on the table.
Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Ramadan is coming within the next few days. They know how much this means to Muslims. And they know how important the Muslim vote in America and here in the UK is, how powerful it is. So now they wait until now to start speaking about a possible ceasefire. Don't be fooled. They're just trying to win the Muslim vote, and once they've secured that Muslim vote in the holy month of Ramadan, then they can move forward with whatever they want to do afterwards. So we'll see if the UK will follow suit. But as I record this video, from what I understand, there are now talks between Israel and Hamas of possibly sitting down and having negotiations, when this could have been done 30,000 deaths ago. Yeah, so it's dark times we're living in right now. It's uncertain times we're living in right now. But one thing is for sure, everyone from all walks of life, races, colours and creeds are coming together to call for an immediate stop to the bombing, and to and for the freedom of Palestine and the Palestinians, that now they're all being painted as Islamists, as extremists, as anti-Semites. Yeah, we need to be concerned. We need to be concerned about this and not let these things divide us. And I think I've said all I need to say about that. Like I've said before, I'm not an expert in these things. This has been one of the hardest videos that I've had to make. I've had to recharge my battery twice to get this video complete. And I'm still uncertain about putting it out. But if you see this, then I've decided to put it out. I don't know, it's going to ruffle some feathers, as my last two political videos did. And I know it's going to upset some people. And to be honest with you, I don't care. So if you like this video and you like my reaction to this current topic that's going on right now, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you don't like it, you know where the door is. And if you support Israel in their genocide, you're more than welcome to hit the down thumb and leave a comment. At least it increases my algorithm, and then after that, get lost. With that being said, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to wish you a good night or a good day wherever you are in the world. And I wish nothing but peace in the Middle East. And I'm going to repeat what Andy McDonald said, the very words that got him fired from his position as a member of Parliament. From the river to the sea, Palestinians and Israelis will live in peace and liberty. Peace.